Now it's time for your 420 Radio News for Wednesday, March 20th, 2013. I'm Russ Belville. Florida campaign for medical marijuana gets financial backers from Reuters News. Two top Democratic fundraisers in Florida have committed to providing the money and the know-how to get the question of legalizing medical marijuana on the state ballot in 2014. Attorney John Morgan said late on Tuesday, quote, "I'm prepared to keep raising money and writing checks until I get the signatures to put it on the ballot." Morgan, who routinely hosts presidents and national political figures at his Orlando area home, recently signed on as chairman of People United for Medical Marijuana Florida, a grassroots organization that operated on a shoestring until now. Morgan was recruited by Ben Pallara, a lobbyist and fundraiser for President Barack Obama's 2012 re-election campaign. Pallara recently became treasurer of the medical marijuana campaign, and he estimates the campaign will cost $10 million. A poll he commissioned for People United found support in Florida for medical marijuana at 70%. A majority of both Republicans and Democrats support passage. Legal pot means big changes for the state's drug-sniffing dogs. This from ComoNews.com. The passage of I-502 in Washington made things difficult enough for the humans tasked with creating and enforcing laws for legal marijuana. Now, try explain the difference between personal use and intent to sell, or the gray area between state and federal law, to a dog. That's why many law enforcement agencies around the state, including the Seattle Police Department and Washington State Patrol, will no longer be training their drug-sniffing dogs to alert for marijuana. The Washington Association of Prosecuting Attorneys sent out a memo advising the state's law enforcement agencies that narcotics dogs are no longer required to be trained to alert for marijuana in December. And marijuana was removed from the Washington State Criminal Justice Training Commission's Canine Performance Standards test in January. However, while agencies still have dogs trained to alert for marijuana on patrol, officers will no longer be able to rely solely on a dog's alert when determining probable cause for a search warrant, according to the Washington Association of Prosecuting Attorneys memo. In the past, a narcotics dog's alert was pretty much all that was needed to get a search warrant. Not all law enforcement agencies are on board with the changes. Tacoma Police Department spokesperson Loretta Kuhl said the department will not be changing any of its procedures for training or using narcotics dogs, as the possession of marijuana is still illegal under federal law. The next marijuana legalization fight, Copenhagen versus the rest of Denmark. This from AtlanticCities.com. The city of Copenhagen wants to legalize cannabis and, if possible, get supplies of the drug from the United States. Following a Europe-wide trend, Denmark's capital has been planning a 3-year experiment that would aim to wrest the city's soft drugs trade away from criminal gangs and place it under direct municipal control. But while city officials overwhelmingly support the move, the Danish national government may not let them proceed. Last year, the national government rejected more tentative plans that Copenhagen city councilors had approved by 39-9. So it's no coincidence that representatives from Seattle were flown in to the city for a conference last week, invited to help craft a policy that stands a better chance of surviving resistance from non-metropolitan Danish and neighboring Swedish mayors. One issue is key. No one wants the Copenhagen model to turn the city into a little Amsterdam, a place aping long-standing Dutch laws where tourists flock to get baked in commercially run coffee shops. Copenhagen, by contrast, would prefer to keep cannabis sales under state monopoly, fixing prices and importing supplies themselves, possibly from U.S. states Washington or Colorado. Police issue scratch and sniff cards to help weed out marijuana growers from Time.com. Police in England are distributing scratch and sniff cards to help members of the public detect the telltale aroma of illicit cannabis farms. The cards, which replicate the distinct smell of growing marijuana, will be mailed to homes in 13 areas throughout the country in hopes they will help people identify cannabis factories in their communities. Ultimate Fighting Championship suspends Alex Caceres following failed drug tests from MMAJunkie.com. The UFC has suspended bantamweight Alex Caceres, 8-5 and 2-3 in the UFC, after he was flagged for marijuana metabolites. Caceres has been suspended 6 months, will attend drug rehab classes, and needs to pass a drug test before he's allowed to continue. He earned a split decision, and it marked his third straight win for the Ultimate Fighter 12 cast member. However, his latest victory will now be recorded as a no contest. And that's your 420 Radio News for Wednesday, March 20th, 2013. When we come back, we go behind the headlines and take a look at Washington State's new pot czar and some of his earlier comments that lead us to believe we got no idea what we're in for in Washington State. This is the Russ Belville Show on 420radio.org. We'll be right back. .radio.org is